If I would have talked to competitors 12 years ago, You Move Me would be a $100 million business by now.
Hey, welcome to Smart Talk, where we help you go from truck to CEO by working smarter, not harder. I'm your host, Anna Zubia. Today, we're talking about something movers really don't talk about enough, networking. So I'm not going to gatekeep. There's no ego here. Pretending you've got it all figured out, we're tossing that out the window because my guest today is Prabh Heer, COO of Movio Brands, the parent company of You Move Me, a $40 million moving business juggernaut. He's also the guy behind one of the most powerful invite-only mastermind groups in the industry. Prabh, welcome to Smart Talk.
Thanks for having me. Very excited to do my first Smart Talk.
Yeah, we're so thrilled to have you here. And Prabh, you've done a massive amount of stuff in this industry. Like you've been there, done it, you've worn all of the different hats. And so before we get into like the networking part, I want your story. What brought you to this point? Let's go back a little bit to like the younger Prabh years.
It's pretty interesting. We'll go back a little bit because I think context is always so helpful. My parents moved here from India, and like when they moved here to Canada, they moved to a city, a very small lumber town, because my dad had heard of a mill hiring. It was a town of 3,000. So I lived in a town of 3,000 people for a long time. I went to school. My first attempt, I dropped out because I decided to try and become a professional poker player. After that attempt failed as well, I moved back home for a bit. Then I moved to the beautiful city of Vancouver. I went to school. I got a degree in marketing. After getting let go from my first professional job after graduation, an opportunity at You Move Me came up. I didn't actually even know what the franchising space was, right? I just knew that franchising meant multiple locations of something. So I started working in the Vancouver franchise. And the whole time I thought the guy that was the general manager of the Vancouver franchise actually owned the entire system. I'm like, oh, it's so crazy. You own all this stuff. And I started out as like a business development representative / supporting on the trucks. I got promoted to estimator and then sales manager. And it turned out like I was really great at selling, really terrible at estimating. I can't tell you the amount of anxiety trips that I had 10 p.m., 8 p.m. refreshing the schedule to see if jobs were invoiced. But because I produced so much volume, I was eventually given the opportunity to run the location. So that was great. We helped grow it. I think it grew 4 times the size of from the day I joined, from the day I left. I took a brief stint away, went to go work for my friend's company, wanted to break from the moving space. An opportunity came up to work for HQ. From there, I became the sales center manager and one of our business coaches. That was a pretty unique experience because I'd never managed a sales center before. I did cell phones when I was in college as a side hustle, which was great, but this was a whole different animal. From there, I was promoted to field operations. So I was the business coach for all of our locations. I helped navigate us through COVID. After doing a good job there, we brought in a CEO. He promoted me to director of operations. So I oversaw our operations team, our customer experience team, and I did a bit of the marketing and / overseeing sales. That was great. Had a leadership transition. I took over to run the brand temporarily. Then we relocated to Kansas City. So we moved HQ from Vancouver to Kansas. From there, I was promoted to chief of staff. And so I oversaw the entire brand. It was great. I did that for about a year and a half. And so I'm like entering about 8 years total at You Move Me. So 4 years in franchise, 4 years in franchisor. I've worked every single role available. Outside of moving to Kansas City, there was limited opportunity for me left. So I decided to go pursue another opportunity. And this time the owner of You Move Me called me. We had always talked about taking You Move Me public. So he brought me on to work for the private equity group as a VP of operations. From there, I looked at acquisitions. We're looking at expanding into different adjacent businesses like home cleaning, window cleaning, gutter cleaning, lawn maintenance. And then we decided, why don't we just focus on the moving space? It's a really blue sky opportunity. We have proficiency in it. I've got a ton of industry experience. And so then we focused on that. And everything went according to plan. Eventually, it took a lot longer than I expected, but You Move Me officially became a public company of July of last year, which is a dream come true.
Yeah,
And
if I had a bell, I'd be ringing it right now.
Actually, that. And the reason why I start my story of like I'm from a small town of 3,000 is because I'm from a town of 3,000, but there's only 3,400 public companies in Canada. So to be from a town of 3,000 to be one of 3,400 being a public company COO, it's a dream come true to me. I never
think
thought
it's incredible. Yeah, well, and a child of immigrants, right? Like child of immigrants, grew up in a small town, like talk about hustle, right? I bet your professional sneakers are worn clean, right?
I appreciate that. I never thought that when I started here as a business development representative that I would ever be a COO of a publicly traded company, let alone the same company.
I'm never going to sit down and play poker with you now that I know this. I'm going to say this so kindly. Moving's kind of a weird industry, right? Like I will say these are some of the best humans I've ever worked with in the privilege of my professional career. They're so friendly and they're just brilliant and they're hard workers with hustle, but they still keep a lot of cards really close to their chest. What you're doing with your mastermind groups, it's really started to unlock a special sauce in like helping our movers stop going alone.
So You Move Me, as you touched on, is about a $40 million business. And I often tell people in my mastermind community that if I would have talked to competitors 12 years ago, You Move Me would be a $100 million business by now. The biggest thing for me was like, there's no secrets in moving. We're moving shit from A to B and trying our best not to wreck it. Right. So it all started with Mark Hershey, owner of Salmon and Alice Moving, host of Movified. Him and I live in the same city. And one day I DM'd him on LinkedIn saying congrats on the weight loss or something, not even relevant to moving because I saw he had a pretty big health transformation. It's weird that we don't talk and like I just buy you lunch and we can catch up. We've known each other for the last decade, but we've never talked. And there was no reason for that. And we're like, oh, we should continue supporting each other. And like, maybe we can expand this group to talk to some other movers. So there's a group of 4 movers. We capped it at 4 because we didn't want to make this an open season group where everyone can join. And we meet every 30 to 45 days. I'm actually meeting them all this afternoon. And what we do is we just share like what trends we're seeing in the marketplace. Real estate in our city is down at a 25-year sales low. So everyone's trying to diversify. Cost per lead has never been more expensive on Google because competition is fierce. And we're always sharing information about what's working, what's not working, what customers don't pay would probably be one of the biggest things that we've learned. Because we don't want, if one of us had been screwed, we don't want the other person to get screwed. So then we
Exactly.
expanded into going online because You Move Me wasn't a long distance mover for the first 10 years of operation, basically. We started getting serious about it 2 years ago. It's our fastest growing segment now. While we have 22 locations, we don't have representation in all 50 states. So it's like, what if we have a job that's going to an unload where we don't have a location? We need someone to support with the unload. Otherwise, we can't price the move to be fair. Well, I don't want to go on a Facebook group and I don't want to call a random mover. I asked our long distance director for a list of 10 cities he needs referrals for. And I asked Mark for introductions to movers in those 10 cities. Because he's the host of Movified, he was able to connect me with 10 people, great company owners. It's such a great conversation with them. And I'm like, okay, it's great. We'll work together if there's a job going to each of our respective locations. But how do I keep a touch point with them? And then I was talking to Mark. I'm like, why don't we create a community for movers where it's invite only and we set the criteria and we just have a monthly call? We've set
Oh,
guardrails around engagement. So it's video on. No one's allowed to dial in. If you miss more than 3 meetings in a year, you're kicked from the group forever. If you screw over any of the members, you're kicked from the group forever. It's branded under Movified Nation. We have 5 groups right now, and I think we'll have 8 by the end of July. And it's arguably some of the highest engagement activities that I've ever experienced in my life. We will have the largest mastermind based on revenue with network revenue over $1 billion by the end of July. And this
brilliant.
was all inspired by Mark's fitness transformation on LinkedIn and me seeing that post and be like, and this was pre-Ozempic. So I was like, shit, this is hard work he did. I'm proud of him.
Yeah, right? Shout out to Mark Hershey over there at Movified. If the advice that I got early advice about networking, it's like go into it with the goal, right? If you want to be a millionaire, go spend time with millionaires. Like you need to be in that same group. And I like the way that you guys are thinking, but you're also putting standards around how we're going to engage. I don't think enough people are spending time with those competitors or spending time even with their peers to understand you're not fighting battles alone, right?
Yeah. When I started to expand outside of the You Move Me zone, like I'd never gone to a movement conference outside of our 2 You Move Me conferences for the first 12 years we were in business. If it wasn't for this mastermind community and gaining referrals from like-minded companies through that, I would have actually known nobody. The mastermind community is basically the nucleus that allows us to expand outward. We'll represent 80 of the largest movers in North America that are all independents, and we'll be able to have market penetration to go get better deals on boxes, get better deals on rental trucks. And the best part about it is like authenticity wins. I'm not doing this
Yes.
to try and create a van line network. I'm doing this to support the industry and also pay it forward, but also for us all that have worked so hard to build our businesses to continue to scale them. I'd like to give a shout out to Stephen Reed. I met him actually on a virtual conference through Louis Massaro, and he was like, oh, we should talk sometime. And we never did. And through random circumstance, I needed representation in Memphis. And he was brought back to me. He's like, I'm pretty sure I know who you are. And now Stephen Reed is like one of my closest allies in the moving space. What he's done with Ready Rolls is incredible. It's a networking group that would have never imagined I would have, and also a circle of friendship that I feel like is stronger than some of the people that I've even grown up with.
Yes, yes. Sometimes I get to be a fly on the wall in some of these networking groups. It's not a competition. Like when somebody's announcing a win, everybody's clapping with them, or they're like, hey,
For
guess
sure.
what? I solved this and here's how I did it. And this is what fires entrepreneurs up. And when you get a bunch of them together in a room, it gets real dangerous in the best way possible. Those businesses excel and it's better for the customers. That's what's beautiful in groups like this. When you're getting together, you're taking the entire industry and you're leveling it up to a scale that the customers can see and feel. People that are listening here, if they're part of a networking group or a mastermind, or maybe you're in a mastermind with Prabh, I want to hear about it. Drop in the comments. Who are you spending your time with? Who are you building up the industry around? Give them that shout out at them, because I think we don't talk about it enough. And if networking isn't your thing yet, the best thing you can do is start small. Look for those local events, right? So SmartMoving is bringing movers together in cities across the U.S. I have a bunch of events we're doing this year and other events that we're going to be at. We'll drop the calendar below. So I'm going to go back to, You Move Me. It was primarily local for years, right? But like 2024, we started cracking into long distance and not the way most movers do it. You had a special approach.
When we were looking at long distance, we didn't want to go to the tractor trailer model because we didn't have that type of asset, right? But we still wanted to service these moves. So what we started doing was we started doing one-way moves with renting box trucks and then flying our guys home. And it allows us to guarantee a delivery date to a customer. Obviously, we have to price it more, but it also disrupts the van line model. And
True.
when we started seeing that we were able to do this on a continued basis, we're able to start building partnerships with other movers in different areas. We get the benefit of not only just having like long distance moves where we're doing the move end to end, but we're also helping other movers that are coming into any of our locations with unload support and building a relationship that way. It's been great because I like to make outlandish statements, and like my number one goal is to take down the van line industry. Every industry is always ripe for disruption, right? Look at SmartMoving, taking pen and paper movers onto a software. If we don't have disruption, then there's no innovation. And in this type of industry, it's innovate or die.
Damn, movers, I hope you're listening to this, because this is how you manifest success. I did say at the beginning, $40 million company, right? That does not happen overnight. Most movers and entrepreneurs, I think they misunderstand growth and they don't actually know what that looks like and feels like. So I'd love to hear, what is your take on growth? Because you've seen this success.
When I look at growth, it's so much different than what I would have read in like a business book, because they always talk about the successes. I see growth through failure, to be honest. Anytime we're in a group conversation or in a mastermind community, I always put my hand up first and I say, no one has made more mistakes in the moving industry than me. And no one has probably wasted more money in the moving industry than me. Embrace failure versus running away from failure, because it allows me to refine my approach and continue moving. And if you want to grow, it just means maintaining a bunch of different things over a longer period of time. People think like when they hit their first milestone, let's say their first $1 million year, $2.5 million year, they think they've made it, but it's not really that. Business doesn't relent. You have to continue. You have to add scale, more trucks, more people, and then you have to focus on systems. This is still a game of inches. If you look at the van line industry, it's not like they went from zero to $100 billion industry overnight. It was slowly over time and being methodical. If you let things build up, it overwhelms you, and then you start to avoid things. There's a book that I read that's one of my favorite books because the expression is so funny, and it's Eat That Frog. And it's like eating that frog is dealing with the most ugly thing in front of you first. Because once you get really good at that, nothing really phases you anymore. So I think eating that frog is going to be the biggest indicator for how you're going to grow.
I love it. Yeah, eat the frog. I do that too. I start with the thing I don't want to work on first, because then the rest of your day is just only going to get better. But I love that concept. We'll drop the link to that book in the comments as well. And Prabh, if there's a member that was interested in finding out more about your mastermind groups and getting involved in those, where would they go today?
Yeah, so two ways. You can email me, prabh@mobiobrands.com. Otherwise, just go to Movified Nation. We'll enter the Learn More About Us page, and we'll reach out to you once we're looking at opening our next group. The idea is that we want to make sure that every member is going to gain something of this. One caveat I have to say, though, is any movers that are under $1 million probably aren't the best fit for us. We're trying to focus and cater to people that have established a business over a longer period of time that are ready for that next level of growth. But if you're ready to grow and you're open-minded, please fill in the information. We're always looking to find great members.
Absolutely brilliant. So much admiration for you. I'm inspired. Movers, I hope y'all are inspired because this is exactly what we're about here. There's no secrets. We just want real conversations with the people who've been there, done that. And so if this episode hit home, make sure you subscribe. We got more coming on Smart Talk. We've got real stories from movers who've gone from truck to CEO. Prabh, thank you so much for your time and your energy
My
here. We appreciate
pleasure.
you.
Thank you so much. One last thing I would want to add is when you're tired and you think it's time to give up, always remind yourself of this mantra. It's still early, it's still day one, and there's strength in collaboration. Thank you so much for your time, Anatai. Thank you so much, SmartMoving, for letting me be on the Smart Talk. Very grateful for this experience. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And everyone listening, we'll see you next time on Smart Talk.